All right, welcome back. So if you haven't watched part one of this video, I do suggest that you watch it first. There should be a link below for you to watch that and then come back to this video. If you already watched part one, then I'm really happy to have you back. And I'm excited to take you through the 5 different tools that you could use all together. You could use one by one. And I would absolutely love to hear from you. If you try them, let me know how it landed for you because in my experience, every single one of these tools actually made a change in real time. And how do you know if something worked? Well, I think that's pretty easy. But how I know when it's working is I actually feel different. I feel in my heart and, almost amorous, like I'm thinking of my husband in this situation, an example that I'm thinking in my head. I would actually feel a shift in how I feel about them. But I think what's even more exciting and more telling is there's always a direct, immediate change in how that person responds to me. And it's either they feel more relaxed, they're more settled, they're more happy, they're more smiley. There's an actual shift in the other person. So let's start with number one. And this is something you do in your head as you're approaching the conversation. So you can use this at any level. Remember, I was a divorce lawyer. So we would do this sometimes with clients before four-way meetings, before major negotiations. So it could be in the most extreme, challenging situation of conflict, or it could just be a Sunday afternoon and you want to spark things up in your relationship with whoever. So the number one tool is gratitude. This is a term that we hear more and more about. It really truly is one of the most powerful tools you could ever utilize. So what do I mean by gratitude in the relationship? Do you have to tell them how grateful you are? I mean, that would actually be huge. But even just feeling gratitude for whatever that person brings to you. So again, I work with people who are dealing in the most high conflict cases to good relationships that they want to make better. I've seen the entire gamut. If you were to tell me that you cannot find one thing, because preventing objections is one of my occupational gifts or hazards, depending on how you look at it, I can already hear people saying, well, I don't feel grateful. There's nothing I feel grateful for about this person's driving me nuts. If you're in that boat, then I want you to go back to the first video. I want you to go back and get into a practice to get in your heart space because truly, truly, and I'm being kind of funny, but not. You could go back to the first video, but it's really something that I think you can drop into even right now. Taking a few deep breaths into your heart, out of your heart, connecting to the soul of that person, connecting to that person, even if it's the smallest bit of value. A lot of people that I work with are separated. And so even if that's your situation and you can't think of one good thing about your ex, what about the value that they bring to your child? My point to you is there's got to be something that you can pick. If you've already gone through the first video and you've prepped yourself and you've decided to make different choices, that this person is of value for you to engage in this shift, then thinking about what you're grateful for. And on the other end of the spectrum might come really easy. It might just be a really simple shift. Sometimes when I'm in my head and I'm busy or I'm working or all of the above, we have kids, me thinking about what I'm grateful for about my husband, although we have a beautiful relationship, may not be the top of mind. So just bringing it as a conscious exercise can be powerful in all relationships. What are you grateful for about this person? And really not thinking about it, but feeling it in here. Gratitude is a felt experience. So really feeling that appreciation that you have to whatever degree and entering into the room with that energy or the next text you send or the conversation you're about to have, priming yourself with that. Number two, this may feel similar, but it's actually a very different piece. And it's thinking about how valuable this relationship is in your life. So if it's your sister or your mother, thinking about the overall of this relationship, the thing that ties you together. So for instance, if it's my sister, I might say, I'm grateful for our laughs and our jokes and the amazing times that we have together. The value that she brings to my life for me feels different. Of course, those parts I value, But on a macro level, the value that she brings to my life, it's she's got my back. She'll always tell me the truth. She'll always be there for me. Like it's the big ticket items, the value. So thinking about that before you engage with the person, thinking about what you value about the relationship, not about the person, but about the relationship that you have together. That is a separate nugget that you can use. And again, getting yourself into the energy in your heart space of reminding yourself of how important this relationship really is. Number three, what you love about this person. Again, these might seem to overlap, and they might, but this is what you love about this person. Picking just one thing. And what I love to do, and I do this with my husband, although I don't think he actually knows that I do this. We have little kids and we run around and we're busy, and you got to do what you got to do to keep things saucy and positive. So it might be his eyes or his smile, something that I love about him. Not in relation to me, it's what I love about him, just him. And I focus on that, and that shifts how I feel as I'm about to speak. Because I think what we do often is we get into our heads, we get into our minds, and what the human mind is designed to do is to focus on problems. It's a safety, basic survival mechanism. So, especially if you're married or you have a very close relationship to the person, like family, you are focused on in a marital relationship, oh, did you put the clothes in the dryer? Or who's going to make dinner? Or there's always a human tug of war that could be happening. So, by deciding that you want to actually elevate the relationship, getting present, getting focused, getting ready to make a conscious decision, and taking full ownership of that moment, you can look at that person, not from your head, but from your heart, focusing on one thing that you love about that person. Like, oh man, I really love that about you. What is that one thing? Get into the feeling of it before you have an interaction with that person. Try this out, folks. This works. Number four, actually being present with this person. This might sound so simple, but it really is a practice. And even for myself, somebody who's been on the spiritual road and in the conscious space for a really long time, decades, I realize when I practice doing it, how often I'm not present. Especially for me right now in my life, I work from home. And so often I'll be on the deck or wherever I am. I live in Canada, so if the weather's good, you better believe I'm on my deck. And I'll be working and people are interrupting me and I'm in my head and then they're looking at me and they want an answer and I'm like kind of like half here, half there, right? We do this all the time. What we actually do when we're not present with someone is our mind is not only multitasking, but our mind is also predicting what's going to happen in this conversation or this interaction based on prior interactions. And so it's constantly not allowing you to actually have a present moment exchange with the person. I heard Eckhart Tolle, famous author on presence and getting into the now, say the other day, the longer you've had an intimate relationship with someone, the more you have to go into the practice of being present with them. Because your relationship comes with so much narrative and identity and baggage and story and history that almost always, I would say, unless you have a presence practice, you're not actually with the person. You are with the memory bank of this identity of the person that you've created. So I'm going to go all out here for a moment and really going to just share very honestly how I do this. I actually connect to the person's auric field. I connect to the energy that they are. I believe that we're all souls having a human experience. That is my unequivocal experience of my life. And so I don't connect to the body and to the name and to like in my husband's name, Mandeep. I don't connect to the identity. I detach from that. I bring my present self and I just engage with the presence of this person with no, and when you're present, what happens is you are not actually predicting or going into the past memory bank, or You're not over here, you're over here. And what's really cool about this is you access the highest version of that person. The moment you are present with someone, you activate in them a different version of them as well. So you have a completely different experience with this person. Sometimes I even connect by thinking of that person's higher self or soul self kind of resting above their head. So you can do it either way. You can do it in your own way, but connecting to the person in the present moment. And that primer that we talked about in the first video of cleaning the slate of like take 3, take 4 is really designed to be able to allow you to do this, to be able to not go from history, but actually show up in complete authenticity with that person purely right now. And what's so beautiful about that is you start to tap into the essence of this person at a whole other scale than perhaps you never have before. It's making me want to go practice this presence thing with my husband right now because it's so beautiful, it can be so profound. And I think it's something that we lack because we're so in our heads, especially nowadays with our phones and our gadgets and our busy lives. We're operating primarily out of here. And this thing is just like a computer that's tracking information and tracking danger. And it's about coming out of that space, coming into the heart space, and actually connecting with the person. Number 5. And this is one that can be so powerful. Call me idealistic, but I actually really believe that a huge part, if not the primary part, of why we have relationships is not just to be loved, but to love the other. It's a beautiful way for the soul to experience itself in its highest form. And so, number 5 is really about tuning into, through the person's energy, through heart to heart connection, what does this person need from me right now? Asking yourself, what can I do to serve this person right now? What could I do to help or elevate this person right now, or just be there for them? And this might feel like a stretch for people who are in deep conflict right now, but I have worked with clients who couldn't even answer the door because they would have anxiety attacks at the thought of interacting with their ex-husband to, in 6 weeks, moving all the way from that to pure compassion, kindness, and no more panic attacks. It really is something that we can do from all levels. But when you are able to get in a space where it's no longer just about you, and sometimes it takes a moment for us to get there, and that's okay. Sometimes we need to tend to ourselves. And so this might be something that you might say, I'm not ready for. You might say, right now, I just need to take care of me. But if you're watching this video, if you're thinking, how do I save this relationship? And you're ready to actually be the one to make that next chess move, then really tuning in again, not from the head, not from an intellectual place, but from a spirit to spirit, from a heart to heart connection. What does this person need right now? And I'll tell you, the moment you ask that question from a real raw place, you'll get answers that you wouldn't even have thought were on the list. My head might be like, oh, well, what he needs is a real good roll in the hay. But what my heart would say, for instance, as I just tuned into it right now, thinking of my spouse as my kind of testing ground for this conversation, my example, I'm thinking about him and I'm like, I think he and I both need some fun. Like, just fun. Go have fun. I think that's what would be really great for him right now. And so then thinking about how can I actually bring this into this person's life? When we start to move in the energy of service, and in the energy of giving instead of what's in it for me and what have you done for me lately, we start to really powerfully shift relationships. And no matter where you're at, whether you're at tail end and you think there's no hope, which I've worked with people at that level, or you just want to kick things up a notch, all of these tools, when you come at it with a real conscious, present heart space, will have the power to change your relationships and perhaps even save them in ways you never imagined. I can only say that today because I've now worked with hundreds of clients in this conscious space after leaving my law practice and while I was juggling the two. And I'm just blown away at what's possible. I'm so blown away that I've decided to commit my life to helping people learn these tools and practice them. So let me know how you do with them. I would love to hear from you. And just keep remembering that with every chess move you make, you have the power to change any relationship in your life. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon.